Hey everybody, this is Dave Tribbett here, owner of V3Connect, with another great focus on the community interview. And I'm super excited to actually be here with DJ VEACH. We've known each other for a little while, and I really want to dig into what it is to be an entrepreneur and how he got started. So VEACH, how did you get your start? Like, were you born a DJ, or what did you do before being a DJ?
Maybe I was born a DJ. I tried to wear out my dad's record collection when I was a kid, that's
Oh,
for
cool.
sure. But no, actually, I started DJing because a friend of mine was DJing and thought that I'd be a good fit. So I gave it a try.
Is it difficult to get to that point? Because I know a lot of people will just DJ on the weekend a lot of times.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of hustle. One of the rules that I figured out very, very early on is the more you work, the more you work. So the more effort you put into the marketing, the more events you're likely to get. The more events you get, the more people are going to see you and know what you're doing and know that you're available, and then they're going to reach out to you as well. So I've had several friends in other businesses say, "Man, you work too hard for what you're doing," and but I love what I do, and so obviously every job has its work, but when you love what you're doing, it really kind of helps to mitigate some of the work feel of it. And so that definitely helps. But yeah, it's a challenge to stay doing this full time. And one of the things that helps for me, at least, is my home sort of situation. I'm single, no kids, and so especially early on, that made a big difference for me as far as just the comfort level of feeling like, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and give this thing a shot. Also, I was pretty well established in the community as well, and I built up, basically a war chest before I made the jump. So I had some money in savings, and just kind of decided that, okay, we're going to give this thing a try, full time, and see if it works. And if it does, great. And if it doesn't, all right, we'll go back to getting a day job, and we'll go back to doing it just on the weekends. And thankfully for me, it's just taken off and continue to get better and better and better. So
Nice.
I'm really thankful for that.
With everything going on with COVID right now, have you been able to transition to like digital marketing, or how important was that face-to-face for your business?
The personality of the DJ is super important. That's one of the big things that you're looking for as you're booking somebody, not only just somebody that has the equipment and the technical knowledge, but also someone that has the personality to bring that will fit your event. And that's a little harder to gauge when you can't see someone, face to face. So over the telephone, it was a little more challenging. So one of the good things for me with that's come out of COVID is most people are now much more familiar and comfortable with a video conference thing. So if it's, if I'm meeting with a client from, Portland or from Eugene or maybe over on the coast or something, they're much more comfortable with the idea of doing a FaceTime meeting or Zoom or something, where they're still able to get, we're kind of able to get face-to-face in a virtual sense. And so that in that sphere, it's better for me versus telephone, but still in person is, my preferred way of meeting with my customers. But at the same time, the technology has definitely been helpful. Most of the meetings I've been having now are either for events that are planned for later this year or more often sometime next year, whether they're weddings, they're company parties, things like that. Most of those sorts of digital meetings are for that, or also possibly for rescheduling an event from this year into next year.
I wonder what kind of things out of everything that you've had to adjust to that you'll hold on to, like you'll integrate those things into the normal flow of your business and whatnot. Because I don't think I wouldn't go back to doing things the way I was doing it. And since I've had to make the effort to transition away from like the face-to-face and things that we were talking about, what kind of things have you found useful in all of this?
Well, I'd done a pretty darn good job previously of trying to go paperless for a few reasons. One, it's easier for me with record keeping. My brain just seems to work better with technology than it does with papers sitting around on desktops. So, and a lot more of my customers are more comfortable with the idea of being emailed a PDF than they were previously. Sometimes people still wanted me to bring a paper hard copy to the meeting, which, you know, if they still want that, I'm happy with to do so. But also, I've found it very, very convenient to do Zoom meetings, especially when it's for something that's not going to be a long conversation, where like I know this is going to be a 15-minute conversation. And normally what I would try to do, as you know, as you've already mentioned, you saw previously, we'd be at the same, you know, coffee shop or something, meeting with a string of clients in a row. But if I'm not able to get multiple appointments on the same day, then often what I want to do is just kind of stay in the home office and just get work done. But previously there'd be, you know, we'd need a 15-20 minute conversation, and I'd just say, okay, I'll meet you at a coffee shop. And that was my default go-to. Now kind of my default is changed to, if it's going to be a quick conversation, let's just FaceTime, Zoom, you know, phone call, whatever we need to do. So that part of it has changed a bit.
Some of the restaurants are still open, so I've been able to do lunch or something, but not like we were able to do before. How did you decide that you even wanted to make this career? Was there somebody that helped you along the way? How did you get started? What was that for you?
Well, decide is a very generous term. It was, I was actually working in the insurance industry and had been doing so for quite a while. And a friend of mine, who many people here in the Rogue Valley at least will recognize her name, DJ Hope. She was DJing at the time, and I met her through the Medford Chamber. And she and I, you know, kind of hit off a friendship because we've got a lot of similar interests, music, things like that. And, you know, she started pestering me for about a year saying, you know, I want you to, I think you'd be good at this. I want you to come, you know, follow me at weddings. Because she was running into the issue of, I've got too many clients and not enough of me to go around. So I'd like another person that I can refer to. And so after about a year's worth of her, you know, talking to me and me saying, well, I'm already trying to run another business. I don't want to try and have two startups at the same time. I finally decided okay, well, let me go just check it out and see what I think. And so I followed her at a wedding, and halfway through that first wedding, I looked at her and I was like, yep, I'm on board. Let's do this. This is fun.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. And so she, you know, I started working out with her, where she was showing me kind of the ropes and, you know, how to do the whole wedding DJ thing. And over time, just kind of, you know, we had a really good partnership. We kind of called it a co-opetition, you know, where we were our own independent businesses, but we were working very cooperatively together. And, you know, at this point, she's actually retired from the DJ business, and she's doing something else now. And I'm kind of in the same position that she was in, where I've got two other people that I've brought in to my business that I'm training. Obviously that training situation's a little different than I'd planned, given that COVID has kind of changed up the schedule and things like that. So we're focusing more on, you know, some of the back end skills, as opposed to, all right, here's how you run a wedding, you know? But it was more of a hobby that I started just for fun, that just kept growing and growing and growing. And then when I finally was kind of ready to step away from the insurance industry, I'd spent a good decade doing that, and I was ready for a change. And I had this hobby that was this pretty successful business that was just, you know, taking up most of my spare time. And I decided, okay, well, let's see if it can take up all my time. And it did.
If you were to look at like the core values that make you different, if you were looking at your universal selling proposition, which, by the way, a lot of people should reevaluate with COVID, because you might find some interesting things about how those things have shifted in the last couple months. What are those core values, or what is that universal selling proposition for you?
I think for me, one of the big things that most of my clients have told me is my process that I utilize when I'm working with them is much more thorough than a lot of my competition. I ask a lot more questions. I gather a lot more information. And then also I provide them with a lot more resources to help them with planning and structuring the day, and et cetera. It really is a lot more than just, you know, playing music.
Mhm.
It's really helping them out with the entire, structure of the day from start to finish, especially as it relates to the music and the announcements and things like that that need to be made. But what a lot of my clients tell me is that process is what is setting me apart from my competition, and that's a lot of the reason why they chose to go with me, is they just, that process gives them a lot of confidence.
And I can
I'm pretty thorough.
I can attest to that because I experienced that when you actually did the DJ for the expo. And that was a great
Yeah,
process, and it was amazing having you there. So many events
thank you.
and stuff like that, especially business events, it's difficult to really keep that upbeat type situation. And so if businesses want to have that, they really need to connect with you.
Well,
That's my
thank you. Yeah.
personal experience as far as that goes.
One of the things about being, the DJ is I'm also the MC, master of ceremonies.
Mm.
And that's kind of a de facto role that I wind up being in by virtue of the fact that I'm the guy with the loudest voice in the room because I have a microphone in my hand. And so, we need to make sure that your guests are aware of, what's going on right now, what's
Mhm.
coming up next, and, if any, what expectations we have for them. Do we need them to find their seats at this point? Do we need them to hey, now's a perfect opportunity for a break. If you need to use a restroom, it's down the hall. Here's where the water fountains are, or help yourself to some refreshments, and then we'll be
Mhm.
coming back in about 5 minutes. So,
Mhm.
etc.
That's
So
good.
just keeping everyone aware of what's going on, so that they know, how to best proceed and keep everybody on the same page. That
Yeah.
loud voice really helps.
Yeah, with and without the mic, by the way. You project well. Um,
I have been told this.
so everybody watching is going to be like, okay, so we know he's a DJ. What is that full scope of services you actually offer to businesses, for events, whatever it is? What is that full scope of services you offer?
So there's a lot of things that go along with that. Obviously, the DJ. So there's the music, the background music, and all the audio visual stuff that needs to be, well, all the audio stuff that needs to be projected. We also do offer video services. So everything from, if you need a projector and a screen, we could do that, or large
Mm.
screen TVs that are maybe running marketing materials on them. We have that. If you need help with pulling together those marketing videos or marketing materials, I've got somebody on my team that does a lot of that work, and she absolutely loves it. We also do lighting and various different effects. So, if you're doing like maybe a big product launch and you want like fog to come out with, you unveil the product, a big, thing of dry ice fog or something along those lines, we can do that. I also have industrial bubble machines, which are super fun. Those are more appropriate more for weddings and things like
Yeah.
that. But depending on the product or the time of year,
Mm.
that might be the solution. We've
Mm-hmm.
got lots of lighting options, everything from white incandescent lighting, kind of a twinkle light effect, to some crazy dance lighting. Multicolors, we can program them for whatever colors they need to be, switch between color A, color B, back to color A, then to color B, so
Yeah.
again, stuff to match your branding
The
or
options.
the product branding or whatever, just lots of different things. And then on top of that, I try really hard to be a resource for my customers,
Mm.
so that if you're needing something else, if it's something that's kind of in my wheelhouse, I'll find a way to get that done for you. If it's something that's not in my wheelhouse, there's a really good chance that I'm going to know the right person to
Mhm.
put you in touch with, so
Great.
that you're able to get a quality experience through that. And then also we can get that resource back to then, put to use for your event or your, product launch or whatever it is.
It's great. With this chaotic situation with COVID, a lot of individuals are finding themselves quite lost in different ways and stuff. So I'm wondering, how did you prepare for an unexpected type situation as a business owner? What are some of those things that you actually had done prior to COVID that are making things better for you now?
Honestly, the biggest thing is savings. That's what's pretty much getting me through this. I Before I launched the DJ business and kind of made that jump to full time, I decided that I needed to have some money in the bank. because I didn't know how well this was going to fly. And so I made sure that I had about 6 months or so worth of savings in the bank, and then I gave it a go. And I've made sure that I don't touch that money unless it's kind of an emergency type situation, which this qualifies as.
This definitely qualifies.
Right. Yeah. All of a sudden my business, the opportunities for business for me pretty well dried up. I had a wedding February 29th, and normally that's, kind of the start of the season for me is, late February, early March, mid-March or so. And by April, I'm rolling full steam ahead. And I had zero, because we weren't allowed to hold events. I had no bookings that wound up actually following through until June 6th was the first one.
Wow.
And, then it's slowly trickling in. But normally, this time of year is normally the busiest time of my year. I'm going crazy at this point, just running as fast as I can. So just having that savings set aside is really, really what's kind of saved my business. So that's the main thing I would say. And I realize that's not exactly the most helpful advice for people finding themselves in a crisis right now. But definitely before next one, make sure you get some savings in place. And I'd say about 6 months worth, because the way that I look at it is, if everything were to, just disappear overnight, which it kind of did, if I need to, I can go find another job doing something within that time period pretty easily. That gives me a little bit of time to figure out, okay, can I pivot to something else? Can I do something else? Can I, maybe rearrange the business, or does it look like it's going to come back, or whatever? And then, okay, now we only have 4 months worth of savings left. Let's go find a job, or, whatever that is. Thankfully, I'm not at that place yet. So, and it doesn't look like I'm going to hit that place, which is great, because I'd love to keep doing this.
Good. And just so everybody out there that's watching, and I'm not at all speaking for DJ VEACH, but please know we send love to all of you that are being negatively impacted by COVID. And I just encourage everybody, it's never too late to be an entrepreneur and to take a chance on yourself and do something amazing to have a positive impact on everybody's lives.
Absolutely.
So with that said, I should say, I know you do a lot in the community and for the community. What are some of the nonprofits that really resonate with you that you've supported in the past and look at supporting in the future as well?
One of them that I've helped out for many years is the Veterans Affairs Association here. That every year we do a Vet-a-Run 5K. Basically, it's a 5K kind of a fun run. That's the whole point of it is to raise money to help out the local veterans. And I absolutely love that. It's super close to my heart. My dad's a veteran. One of my uncles is a veteran. I never had the honor of serving. I've got, had some knee problems in high school. And, at that particular point in time, the military was being, a little particular about who they took, and they didn't like my knees. So I never had the honor of serving. So this is kind of one of my ways to feel like I'm giving back. And my parents raised me that, you've got to support the community that supports you. You've got to give back to the community that you're living in. And I firmly believe that. There's a lot of charitable organizations that I work with. There's a lot of them that I'm able to, we're able to work with whatever budget situation they have to make their event happen as best as possible. Sometimes we're able to offer some discounts, on services or things like that. So and one of the things that I'm most proud of is actually last year, I was able to provide more discounted or essentially free, gratis events than I have ever been able to do in the past. And I'm really proud of that. Obviously this year that number is all wonky because everything's up in the air. But last year it was more than I'd ever been able to, and also, more along the things that are personally really big, things that I care about myself, which is, kind of nice as well. So.
Yeah. And as a veteran, I appreciate you supporting that organization greatly, just so you know that. As we round out
Absolutely.
this great interview today, and it's great talking, always great talking with you, I should say, and definitely great talking with you today. What kind of words of like inspiration or hope would you put out there for people who are maybe thinking about becoming an entrepreneur? If you had just like a couple minutes to like speak to some of those individuals in this difficult time for many people, could you just take like maybe just a couple minutes and just share some thoughts around, taking a chance, becoming an entrepreneur, thinking outside of the box? What kind of stuff would you like to share with the audience?
Oh yeah, I'd be honored to. Right now is actually a wonderful time. As some people would look at it and be like, "Are you kidding me? Wonderful time." It's a wonderful time to look at being an entrepreneur. There's lots and lots of support out there for individuals who are not able to do their regular job. And so, you might find yourself in a situation where your quote unquote day job, you can't do that, or you're doing that from home on a limited basis and your hours have been restricted. But there's, unemployment support, there's, payroll protection program support. There's lots of things where you still have an income and you have more time on your hand. And that's the best time in the world to start something, is, when the income stream is still secure. So, strike while the iron's hot. And there's just, I'm not going to lie, being an entrepreneur is a lot of work, and it takes a lot of energy, but it's also, the most rewarding thing I've ever done. At the end of the day, you have something that you have built. And, that I was just talking with a friend of mine the other day, and one of the things that we were talking about was, making, fast changes to accommodate situations. One of the struggles I wrestled with when I was in the insurance industry was you weren't able to pivot and shift things. Like if somebody needed a special product, you couldn't just, oh, okay, well, we'll just do that. Whereas, now if you see a need, you can meet that need. And if there's value there for someone, they'll pay for it. So you don't even have to look at, oh, well, this needs to be a standard thing that most people have done businesses in before. No, if you see a need, I mean, that's how new businesses get started all the time. A friend of mine he's an older gentleman, and he runs a dog sitting business, and he calls himself the pet butler, and he takes care of people's pets when they're, on vacation or whatever. That's a need.
Makes
Not
good
everybody wants to
caramel
take.
also.
Yes, he does. But that's not something that, most people would think of. Most people think, oh, if you gotta take your pet to a kennel or whatever, and I don't want to do that. Great. Call him. He comes in, he takes care of your pet in situ, right at your house. So there's all sorts of different things, whether it's, looking across the way and seeing that your neighbor's yard needs mowed, or, leaves are going to be needing to be raked here this summer, that later in the fall. There's lots and lots of opportunities, so just look for something. And if you see a need, see if maybe that's something that there might be a way to monetize that and, flip that into the start of a business for yourself. It's definitely worth it. And especially right now, while the income support is there through all the programs, you've really got nothing to lose except the time you put into it. And I guarantee you will learn so much out of that time that you put into it, that time's not going to waste. Whether the business winds up taking off and flying, or whether it winds up just being an experience that you've had, it will be a learning experience, which will help you in your, future endeavors, whether you decide you still want to be an entrepreneur or go back to the day job that you've had or whatever. Right now is a wonderful time.
So it's been wonderful spending some time with you today, DJ VEACH. And how can people actually reach out to you and connect with you and learn more about the great services that you offer?
One of the best ways is actually through my Facebook page right now. My website's being rebuilt because I've got new guys that are working with me now. So, but facebook.com/DJ VEACH. That's DJ VEACH. Or you can feel free to call or text me 541-621-9510. That number is pretty darn easy to find. It's available via my Facebook, and people have just Googled my name and my number pops up. So, feel free to reach out via whatever means is most comfortable to you, but those are usually the best ways to get in contact.
And I'll make sure that I connect all those links below, and we put some things in there for the veteran. Is that how they say it?
Yes.
The veteran?
Yeah.
And so everybody's able to connect with you. I hope you all enjoyed this V3Connect Focus on the Community interview. It's been great talking with you today, DJ VEACH, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Thanks, Dave. It's been an honor.